So years of wanting to be thinner, you finally find keto, get down to your goal weight, and then we're still not satisfied. Today we're talking about why it is that achieving our goal weight doesn't actually automatically cause us to feel like we're healthy, to look at ourselves as healthy. Hello, Wellness Warriors. Welcome to Mind Blowing Health and Wellness with Violet. I'm Violet, your keto psychologist. The reason I make these videos is to help you to understand that when mental health and physical health are working well together, we get that overall sense of well-being. If you know anyone who could use this information, feel free to share the video, and please don't forget to subscribe. Wellness Warriors, I'm going to walk you through the most common ideas that I hear from people who've lost weight, but they're still not happy with themselves. And we're going to talk about what you can do differently to make sure that you are satisfied with your outcomes. And the first one is, my body wasn't able to be thin while doing a standard American diet. I'm different. What's wrong with me? And the reason that I feel that most people, even though they've lost weight and they're at their goal, still look at themselves in this way is because they haven't really taken the time to understand what it is about keto that helped them to lose the weight and why it is that, in fact, their body wasn't able to manage all those carbohydrates. So if I tell myself that I'm different, there's something wrong with me, because I wasn't able to eat the standard American diet and be thin like everybody else. The thing that I'm not allowing myself to understand is that everybody else isn't doing it. Okay, yes, there are thin people on the standard American diet. They have different issues than you have. One of the things as a society that we need to start to understand is that it's not what people tell us about their lives that's the most important, as what they're actually living in their life. That's the most important. So the same way that I wasn't walking around when I was overweight, crying about how much I didn't want to be overweight, although I think if anyone would have asked me, I for sure would have verbalized that I didn't want to be at the weight that I was. I didn't walk around talking about it. The same way that when I was in my 20s, I didn't walk around talking about all the inflammation and well, I didn't know it was inflammation at the time, but all the joint pains that I had and my road to what I thought was arthritis that was happening. Nobody knew about that. Nobody knew I was struggling with this idea. I knew it because I was the one living it. What's important for us to keep in mind is that if I happen to be heavy on the standard American diet, that means that my body is taking those carbohydrates that I'm eating and storing them safely away as fat, which is what my body's supposed to do. There are a lot of people that are thin on the standard American diet. They have heart disease, PCOS, or other metabolic issues happening internally. They have Alzheimer's, or, well, maybe not Alzheimer's yet. When they get older, that might turn into Alzheimer's, but they have memory issues and brain fog, and they have a hard time thinking straight. There's a lot of doctors right now that feel like a lot of the brain issues that our young people have might be related to the amount of sugars they're eating. I'm not going to go into details of that. You can look up the doctors. My point is, there's internal damage that's happening to our bodies that we ignore because you can't see it. But all those people that are living it, all those people that are forgetful, all those people that have no energy, all those people that they're just living a different issue. I want you to consider something. Would you rather have a car where acid rain is causing it to have rust spots on the exterior so that you can see those rust spots and know that it's happening? Or a car where the exterior looks beautiful, but the acid rain is going inside and damaging a part that means that maybe tomorrow you go to start the car to drive away and it doesn't move. It's kaput, it's finished. A lot of us would choose the external damage because at least I can monitor that and I can use my car, versus that internal damage that at some point stops the car from just functioning altogether. And we need to think about that of our body. It's not because I can see the fat that the fat is worse than my heart not working, my liver being destroyed, my eyes being destroyed, or any of the other internals that are being destroyed by sugar. The other idea that I hear a lot is that I'm going to be stuck on this diet forever. This idea is coming from the fact that you're more focused on being thin than being healthy. And likely you began the ketogenic diet looking at it like a diet, a short-term thing I'm going to do that's going to lower my weight and allow me then to return to eating normally. And so now this idea that, oh my goodness, in order to maintain this, I actually need to eat this way forever. And now I'm upset with myself and I can't see myself as healthy, partially because of that first idea we talked about, but also partially because I don't want to eat this way. You know, when we see keto as a diet, and we blindly do what we're told to do, right? Eat these vegetables, eat these meats, eat these. When we just eat certain things in certain amounts, not really tracking is one of the huge things that I really encourage people to do. Not really verifying what I'm eating for Violet. And I just do this blanket, this is how much of this thing I'm putting on my plate because so-and-so told me to. Part of the problem that happens there is that I'm not learning why keto works. I'm not learning about how sugar affects my internal organs, and therefore I'm not really committed to this lifestyle. And the problem, one of the hugest problems I feel that keto has in our community is how quickly it works. And I feel like a lot of you are going to say, that's not a problem, that's great. No, it's a problem. See, if I had to take more time, energy, effort into losing this weight, so it took me personally about 10 years to get to my highest weight. And if I had to work for 10 years to take that weight off, I think I'd be much less likely to go back to eating the stuff that put the weight on, because I worked so hard for so many years to get to that final resting place. But the fact that it took 5 months for me to lose 70 pounds, but it took me 10 years to put that on, that could have put me in the unfortunate position if I hadn't done the research of believing that the internal stuff that was happening to me didn't matter because I achieved the weight loss goal. I did the research because I wasn't trying to achieve a weight loss goal. Even though I lost weight, I was trying to achieve a health goal. I had true metabolic issues happening in my joints that I actually needed to solve. So the thing I want you guys thinking about, if I look at keto as a diet, there's a possibility that I will end up doing keto, losing weight, going back to standard American diet, gaining the weight back, doing keto, losing weight, going back to standard American diet, gaining the weight back. The problems with that are multiple. The first one being yo-yo dieting tends to leave us at a higher weight every time. The second problem is that when I do keto, I'm learning to be okay with fat. When I go back to standard American diet, I'm not going to go back to standard American diet low fat because I've learned that fat's not a problem. So now I'm doing high fat, high carb. The weight's going to come on so much faster. The damage I'm doing internally is going to be so much more because not only am I going to be putting away the carbohydrates that I'm eating, I'm putting away the fats and the proteins that I'm eating. So therefore, I'm not going to have as much access to those healthy fats and healthy proteins that I need to build my body. Add to that I'm eating processed foods probably again because I've gone back to a normal diet. There's so many issues that are going to happen. The damage that I'm going to do is going to be so much more. And of course, I'm not going to see myself in a positive way, even though on occasion my body is going to be at a good weight. But internally, I'm going to know I can't keep this. Internally, I'm going to be looking at myself saying, what's wrong with me? Why can't I first of all, like we said in the first one, why can't I be like everybody else? But second of all, do I have to eat this way forever? Do I have to keep fighting with myself about food? If I see keto as a diet, I will have to fight myself about food all the time because I'm not teaching myself that these other foods aren't healthy. Another thing I hear people say is, I'm thin, I have a great job, but I'm lonely. I'm not in a relationship, or I don't have good friends around me. And the reason that this one tends to come up is because initially when I was overweight, I was blaming my excess weight for why I didn't have a spouse. I was blaming my excess weight for why I didn't have a lot of friends around me. And this might have been partially true because it might have been that when I was overweight, I wasn't confident in myself. I didn't have a good self-esteem. I didn't feel happy with me. And I might have been keeping people at bay. I might have been avoiding social situations. I might have been doing things that kept me on my own and did not allow people to get to know me. And then I lose the weight. And then I'm like, okay, I'm looking at myself and I'm like, okay, I look okay, but like, why am I still so lonely? Why am I still so sad? Why isn't my life better? And part of the problem is that weight isn't what keeps people from finding relationships. There are people in relationships at all different weights, and they're loving, happy relationships, because relationships are about interpersonal connection. Relationships are about having common interests. Relationships are about common goals. Relationships are about true human connection. Relationships are not strictly about look. But when I'm so afraid to put myself out there because I don't like the way that I look, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin, I'm not happy with me. When I'm so afraid to put myself out there because of that, then what ends up happening is that I actually don't allow myself to have these relationships. So when I'm thin, eventually, after losing all the weight, I'm still not able to put myself out there because I haven't learned how, right? What I've learned to do is hide. So for some of us, we lose the weight and we do not engage the world any differently at this thinner weight than we did at our heavier weight. If I don't present myself to people, so the real Violet, if I don't present me, internal me, to you, you can't get to know me. One of the big problems that people who live their life with this idea have is that if I do allow myself to go out and mingle with people and be in a social situation, I'm presenting a version of me that's not real. I'm being more energetic. I'm feigning interest in topics that I really don't care about. I might be doing activities that I would never choose to do by myself, and that even while I'm doing them, I hate them, but I'm acting like I'm loving this. And part of the problem with this is that if I'm not really being me, if I'm not letting people know that I hate jogging, or I'm not interested in water sports, or if I don't let people know what Violet is really all about, then they're going to expect this from me every time they interact with me. They're going to invite me to do water sports. They're going to invite me jogging. They're going to invite me to do things that is not at all interesting to me. They're going to expect me to be on and energetic and happy and out there. If I'm a quiet and person, they're going to expect things from me that I can't produce over and over. That's going to be exhausting for me. So what's Violet going to do? I'm going to continue to avoid situations, social situations. I'm going to continue to not put myself out there. You can't get to know me and potentially fall in love with me if you're not ever meeting the real Violet. And the only way for me to show you the real Violet is to realize that it wasn't my weight that was holding me back. It was my fear of people judging me that was holding me back. And me judging myself harshly created that fear that you would judge me harshly. And 99% of the time, that's just not true, right? The people that like us for who we are. And we are only going to know that when we stop presenting something that's not real and actually see that they still like us. What about the idea that my body is thin now, but it's wrinkly and saggy skin and I don't like it? And now this is like a real I don't like it. And this is a tough one because, well, we kind of expect our body to get wrinkled when we're older, like in our old age. But at 30 years old, at 40 years, in my 40s, like to be wrinkly and saggy in your 40s, you're not expecting that. And like, it's a bit weird. When I think back to when I was having my daughter, so when I was pregnant, how terrified I was of this idea that I'm going to have stretch marks. Oh my goodness. Right? Because at that time I was a completely normal weight. And I'm like, wow, I'm going to have a baby in my, like, I'm going to have stretch marks. And this idea terrified me. I didn't want stretch marks. This was, in my head, going to be the worst thing ever. And then you know what? Eventually in my pregnancy, I did gain weight. Like it took me like past the 6-month mark before I finally blew up because I had a hard time gaining weight when I was younger. And I finally gained weight. And I got the stretch marks, and I realized that having stretch marks was the price I had to pay for this beautiful little person that I had in front of me, right? My daughter, who today is everything to me. So to have her with me, the price I paid was some stretch marks, right? Well, and of course the birthing experience, which wasn't fun either. But that was the price to pay to have Kyler in my life. I do not regret the birthing experience or the stretch marks today because I have Kyler in my life. And when she makes me laugh, when she makes me smile, when she makes me crazy, it's all worth it, right? Because I wanted to have my beautiful daughter, and I have her. Well, initially I wasn't happy with how losing weight was making my body look. The loose skin, the wrinkly skin. I remember looking in the mirror and being very frustrated. And maybe that could explain a little bit why I kind of keep myself at a slightly higher weight. And I just thought about this now as I'm saying this to you guys. Like maybe that's why I don't let myself go all the way down to where my body seems to want to go. Because I don't like the wrinkly, loose skin that I have. But fast forward to today. Because no matter what weight I'm at, whether I'm at that lowest weight that I didn't like or the 10 pounds more that I currently keep myself at, I've lost 70 pounds. I realized that the increase in health that I have, that resulted in me losing the 70 pounds. So remember, weight comes after. I improved my health and it allowed my body to help me to lose that 70 pounds. That this improved Violet comes at the cost of some wrinkly skin. And when I look at it like that, it's worth it. Because I would much rather have another 20 years of healthy, pain-free living than not have loose skin. So wellness warriors, what I want you to think about is that the reason that we struggle to be satisfied with our new bodies and to be satisfied that and see ourselves as healthy today is because we're still using that mindset that focuses on what I can't do. We're still using that mindset that focuses on us being different. We're still using that mindset that thin trumps everything. And I want us to understand that living a healthy ketogenic lifestyle isn't about thin. Living a healthy ketogenic lifestyle is about being healthy, about putting our body in the position where our body actually does heal itself, repair itself, and build a quality me that's going to go into the future, being able to do what I want to do for as long as my body can let me do it. I'm healthy. My weight is regulated. I'm no longer living in pain. I have mental clarity. I have energy. I would not trade any of this to be able to eat crap food. I think I made the best trade possible. I traded a body full of pain, lacking energy, with a bunch of metabolic issues on the way, for a healthier version of Violet that's probably going to live another 30, 40, 50 years in a healthier situation. Change your mindset. That's what's going to help you to have a better sense of yourself and live in this new body in a way that sees this new body as healthy, sees this new body as what it should have always been. There are videos on the screen right there that are going to help you to improve your health. Links in the description are there to help keep this channel independent. And of course, a cost-free way that you can help me is to subscribe to the channel and share these videos. I can't wait to talk to you guys again next week, Wellness Warriors. And everybody who's new, as always, welcome.